to start off with North America, a good place to start is our southern border with Mexico. And so just kind of trace that line, and that will be the extreme southern border of Northern America. Now go across, we got to go pick up Florida, but we want to avoid all of these islands here. That is not a part of Northern America. Then we're going to go fall up the eastern coast of the United States and Canada, and we get to another situation. We got Greenland here, and then Iceland there. And so we have to go through them because Iceland is not in Northern America, but Greenland is. Now for the rest of this, we'll just kind of trace the coastline all the way around and back to where we are over there. We will note that Hawaii, yes, it is in the United States, but we're not going to consider it part of Northern America. In fact, it's probably has more characteristics of another region, that's Oceania. Next up is Central America. And Central America is just this narrow portion, of course, that goes from Northern America to South America. And so we'll just trace this this narrow strip of land, and this here would be then Central America. Next up, South America, and so we just kind of continue that over. We will want to go over here. There's a little something over there that I'm going to talk about later in the semester, but then just go around South America, make sure to get this guy. That is part of South America, and then all around and then follow the coastline. Once again, we are avoiding those islands that I've mentioned beforehand, and so those islands are next. Next up, the Caribbean islands. And so these are going to be all these islands here. So just essentially trace around all these islands, and this here is the Caribbean. For Africa, we have two parts. First off, Sub-Saharan Africa. Now, in the classes, we'll be much more precise when we use these regions to describe certain countries being in one region or the other. But just to make it easy, just put a line right through, roughly towards the two-thirds towards the top of the continent of Africa. And then you want to go around, make sure to get this. This is the Horn of Africa that kind of sticks out. Got to go around, pick up our good friend Madagascar, come around the southern part of Africa, and then come back to where we started. And so this here is Sub-Saharan Africa. Of course, to the north of that, we would have then Northern Africa. So just kind of go through this Red Sea, this water body, go all the way up, and then follow and trace the northern boundary of Africa, and then this would be then Northern Africa. Now for the Middle East, which is also known as Southwest Asia, it's much more compact, and so we're going to have to be a little bit more precise and kind of zoom in here. First off, let's label the country of Iran. We'll label it with an I. We do that because on the extreme eastern side of the Middle East is the border. So we'll just use the Iranian border on its extreme eastern side, and then just go all around, and so that's the far east side of the Middle East. Now we're going to color in these two lakes. They're called seas, but they're really just big old lakes. First off, the Caspian Sea, and then we've got the Black Sea. Only color them in just because they're good guide points for finishing off drawing the northern and western boundaries of the Middle East. And so what we're going to do is the southern edge of the Caspian Sea just kind of follow a line that goes to the southern edge of the Black Sea, and so then the southern edge, and then this country that coloring in right now, that's the country of Turkey. I'm going to come back to that country because it's very important, but it is a part of the Middle East. Then just come around and we'll just trace in the extreme western side of the Middle East. And so the Middle East is this right there. Now we're going to do South Central Asia. And start off, we'll just go ahead and do the extreme far eastern boundary of it. It separates between India, the country of India, and a country called Myanmar or Burma. So that's our extreme eastern edge. But now let's go back over here to the Middle East and our seas that we colored in earlier. So we have the Caspian Sea here. Coming out of the northern part of the Caspian Sea is the border for this country, in which I'm outlining the boundary right now, and it's where our good friend Borat's from, Kazakhstan. Also, we have the country of China. China is not in South Central Asia, so China's extreme western boundary forms much of the boundary of South Central Asia. And we'll just go all around till we hit, boom, we hit that earlier mark we made. So from now, we'll just go around, we'll swing around, we'll pick up this island of Sri Lanka. These islands are called the Maldives, and we'll come back, and of course the extreme eastern part of the Middle East is the western boundary of South Central Asia, back until we get to that sea again. So this here, South Central Asia. Now for Southeast Asia, we'll use China's boundary. We'll continue China's boundary all the way around till we get to there. We'll then go around that island and then just go straight through there. We're going to have this island on one side. It's not in Southeast Asia. This is Taiwan. It's up here in East Asia, so it's not a part of the Southeast Asia region. But the Philippines, this huge cluster of islands, is a part of Southeast Asia. So we're just going to go around the Philippines, and you'll see this line in this island here that separates it. So that line is also going to separate Southeast Asia from Oceania. So go around here. This is Australia, so that's not a part of Southeast Asia. And we'll just kind of continue around, go around these islands, and we'll go back to that line we drew earlier. That's the extreme eastern part of South Central Asia, is the extreme western part of Southeast Asia. Now with East Asia, we've got the smallest number of countries of all of our regions. So to do this, we're going to start off with the northern boundary of East Asia. So we already have the extreme western boundary. It's going to be this right through there with South Central Asia, and of course some of its southern boundaries already been delineated. Now we got this country here called Russia. So we'll just go ahead and draw in Russia's southern boundary. And so we'll do it like so. So that's Russia's southern boundary. And so that's going to be the northern boundary of East Asia. One key country in East Asia is Japan, which is found right here. This is the country of Japan, those chain of islands. So we're just going to kind of come around Japan. We're going to finish off and we'll go around once again Taiwan. And so we've got China, Taiwan, the Koreas, and Japan, and Mongolia right there, which are all part of East Asia. Now, the border between Western and Eastern Europe isn't really, perfectly precise. It doesn't really separate West from East. But we're going to kind of generally do this line here. And so we're going to come out of Turkey. Once again, Turkey's this country just outlined there. We've got Greece. Greece is going to be on one side of the line, and then all of these countries here are going to be on the other. And we've got Italy's boot. So we're going to go to the top of Italy's boot and kind of work our way and go straight up until we get to the Baltic Sea. The Baltic Sea is this water body right through there. We're going to kind of trace that around. Then we've got the three Scandinavian countries, Norway, Sweden, Finland. Go use the extreme eastern boundary of Finland, and then that's the border with Russia. And so all of this here would be then part of Eastern Europe, and then of course over there would be Western Europe. To finish off Eastern Europe, we have to zoom out because we're going to include Russia in this class and Eastern Europe. And to do that, of course, just like how we do with North America, just kind of trace around up here and then go back around. So all of this there would then be a part of Eastern Europe. And so Russia is complicated. It's kind of European, it's kind of Asian, and we can kind of see that here. And so what I'm doing now is drawing the boundary in red of what we're going to call Eastern Europe and including Russia. And in Western Europe, it's a bunch of peninsulas, starting off with Greece down here, which is a peninsula. We, of course, got Italy, which is a peninsula. Then we got Spain and Portugal, which is a peninsula. We've got the British Isles, which kind of sort of are a peninsula, even though they're islands. They kind of just stick out from France. Very, very small water body that separates France and Britain. Got to go up here, pick up Iceland, and then go around and pick up these peninsulas with Norway, Sweden, and Finland. Up here in this area, it's kind of no man's land, so really we're not going to include that. But once again, this is all part of Western Europe. Now our last world region, Oceania, which is going to include Australia and New Zealand there, and then all of these Pacific islands. And so it's just going to essentially Australia, New Zealand. Of course, this is going to be the border on this side of Asia, that is Oceania. And so all this here is what we're going to call Oceania, which of course on the other side of the world is also part of Oceania. So Oceania is the largest by far of the world regions, but it covers mostly islands that are very, very, very far apart from each other.